right, we back again. It is the Rewind Podcast. Kev Nash holding you down. In the building this week, we got family in the building. We got a lot of family in the building. Now, I done known this one guy basically since I was 6 years old. I moved to this place called Hilton Road in Cleveland, Ohio. And he watched me ride my bike into a car and laughed at me.
I just knew you knew where you was going. He was so convincing while he was riding.
We so tight, we family. Dee Fort back again for a second time on the pod. What's up, bro?
It's all good, man. Thanks for having me back, man. I'm ready to get into it.
That's what's up. Now, this other guy, you may know him from playing football at Bowling Green. You may know him doing poetry all across the country. You may have seen him doing sports on your local TV network, man. But I done known this guy for so long that I thought he actually went to Wright State as much as he was kicking it at Wright State. Unbehooves to me, I didn't even know he wasn't even a student there. He was just down there so much. My guy, my bro, JG the Juggernaut, John L. Gibson. I won't display that information that I was able to come across back in the day. JG, what's good?
Man, life is good, man. Life is real good.
That's what's up, bro. So I brought you two gentlemen here for one reason and one reason only, man, to rewind the game, the documentary album. And I got y'all both on here because I know, JG, you're a big game fan. Yeah. And me and you debated about the documentary 2.0 a couple years ago when it dropped. And you was like, this the best one since the documentary. And, you and I went at it over that album. And then I got you on here, D, because you're a huge West Coast guy. Huge West Coast guy from, everything from NWA, Ice Cube, obviously, everything that Ice Cube did after he left NWA with Dub C and Mac 10, West Side Connection to shoot Eazy-E, everything West Coast, man. So Game was supposed to be the rebirth of the West Coast. So that's why I got you on here. So before we jump in the pod, man, something we always like to do, man, is the rewind all the way back to the year of 2005. JG, what was going on with you in 05?
Man, I think 2005, man, I think we was still kicking it, going to concerts in the summertime. Me, you, and Tone. I was working at a bank. This is before poetry was a real thing. It's just a couple of years into my sports announcing career. Poetry literally wasn't even, I don't even think I was really on stage, or I was just beginning to get on stage in 2005. So, it was, I was 3 years out of college. Like I was, still discovering the world, thought I knew everything and didn't realize how much I still had to learn.
Yeah. D, what was going on with you at 05?
Sheesh. 05, man. I think I was probably just starting to put the football in my son's hands, chasing him around the house, tackling him whenever he wasn't looking, just tackling him. I wasn't doing a lot. I really hadn't even found like what I wanted to do yet. Really, my passions was pretty much at that point sports, clothes, and videos.
Man, go ahead.
That was about it. You got it, Kevin.
Okay, so for me, man, back to 05, man, I just remember that era of lots of drinking, lots of clubbing, lots of wilding out, and like you said, JG, lots of concerts, man, and that was like really me, basically both of us, everybody in our crew, we all 3 years out of college. We all graduated around the same time, and, we got our first taste of being adults, and being on our own and having our own spots and having our own cars and having a job, thinking we really making some money, but in our actuality, we wasn't really making no money at all. But it felt like we was,
Right.
It was years after college. You stacked up a couple of dollars. You went to the dealership and actually got you a new car off the lot. You're feeling yourself a little bit, and I was just wilding, man. I just remember you came down a couple times, JG, for First Fridays and all that type of stuff. You go get your freshest fit you can and be fresh and just wild out and just be crazy. And I also, another thing I remember about that, man, playing PlayStation 2 NCAA 05 with Larry Fitzgerald on the cover. Like we would have tournaments at Tone House, at J Rand House. Like it was just like something that was like a passion for us. Like it was a weekly thing. Like all right, on Friday after we get off work, we all meeting up at so and so house. Who bringing the wings? Who bringing the food? Who got the sticks? We playing games all night. Like you said, D, just like all night into the wee hours. Still thinking we young bucks, but slowly but surely we getting older, but we just don't know it yet. So that's where I was at in '05, man. So another thing we always got to do on the pod, man, we got to remind everybody of some of the albums that dropped in 2005, man. So I'm gonna run through them real quick. Pimp C dropped Sweetwater James Jones Stories. 50 dropped his joint, The Massacre. Beanie Siegel dropped Becoming. Mike Jones, remember Mike Jones? Who
Who?
is Mike?
Yeah, that dude was in and out so quick, man.
Yeah.
That,
But
that's a guy that had a run. He had a summer, and that's what hip hop is really all about,
Yeah,
man. Cats had a run and had a summer.
he kicked off the whole Houston movement at that time, though. Like he
Yeah,
really kicked off Houston. I mean, Scarface, of course, but for that generation, all of a sudden after him, you got Chameleon, you got Slim Thug. Like Mike Jones really did his thing.
for sure, for sure. Memphis Bleak dropped 534. My
whoa,
favorite Common album B dropped that year.
Yeah,
Sean Price Monkey Bars dropped.
yeah.
Yin Yang Twins United States of Atlanta. Jeezy Thug Motivation 101, one of my favorite albums of all time. Classic shit. Kanye Late Registration. Paul Wall, like you said, Houston. People's Champs. David Banner Certified. Little Kim Naked Truth. Bun B Trill. Nelly Sweatsuit. Joel Santana, What the Game's Been Missing, and Wayne dropped his classic, The Carter 2.
Yeah.
So that's where the hip hop era is right now. And as you see from this list, not a one, not nobody from the West Coast outside the game dropped a noteworthy project
nobody,
in that year. In
nobody.
that year, you got your East, you got your South, you got your Midwest with Common, you got everybody stepping up to the plate except the West Coast. The game was supposed to bring the West Coast back. So D, how'd you hear about the game? Who hipped you to game?
I think I caught on to the game. Heard the buzz of him after 50's first album dropped because there was some friction between him and between Dre and one of his producers who was a Mailman. I
Yeah,
think it was Mailman. It was a little bit of friction between them, and they were talking about the upcoming project in Double XL. I think that's where I caught it at Double XL. And I was just trying to catch something about this guy, like some of his work or something. I hadn't heard nothing about him. You just kept hearing his name, the game, the game. But until the album dropped, I hadn't caught no freestyle on nothing to him.
JG.
Yo, like I caught him on the Clue mixtape circuit. I caught him on the mixtape circuit. Like at that time, I was running to check out whatever mixtapes. And at that time, he was killing DJ Clue. He was killing DJ Envy. He was killing all the New York mixtape DJs. So it was like you knew that this dude was next. And just remember, I remember loving the way that he blended an East Coast flow with West Coast subject matter. And I was just like, yo, this dude is going to be that deal. And it's like to hear him talk about how Suge passed on him, or how Diddy passed on him, or how Rockefeller passed on him. It's like, what were y'all listening to? Because I'm listening to this cat and I'm like, yo, this dude is amazing.
Yeah, for me, it was all through the radio station. It was big promo. It was huge promo from Interscope to say he was the next guy up. And I just remember getting a ton of promo stuff, ton of promo stuff. I remember getting the first single, West Side Story. Like they would used to send packets upon packets of mixtapes and single CDs to the radio station. And I was like, oh, this is dope. And it had 50 on it. And at this time, 50's on fire. So I'm like, all right, he might be next. He all right, he dope. He got something going on. But it was so long in between then and then the actual album dropping, because the album didn't drop until January of '05. I remember getting those little singles and everything like that, like back in the spring of '04. So like the buzz on the mixtape circuit was there, and it was getting that push on the record label. And I want to talk about that push from Aftermath Interscope, man. They really wanted this brother to win, because
Yeah, they
if you
did.
look if you look at the production notes, you got,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously you got Dr. Dre. You got Scott Storch. You got Ye. You got Cool and Dre. You got Havoc. You got Timberland. You got Just Blaze did 2 tracks. You got High Tech. And then you got features from Mary J. Blige and 50 Cent on here. And it produced 6 singles. Now, I produced 6 singles because they wanted that street single with West Side Story. But the rest of the singles, they made themselves because people really was fucking with the music like that. So Interscope, Dr. Dre, Aftermath had a lot of invested in him, and they put their money where their mouth was. So people can talk about record labels and being shady and stuff like that. Not, I don't know the ins and outs, obviously the financial situation, but judging from the production that he got on his debut album, this is unmatched. Like,
Yeah.
who else? Can't think of anybody else in hip hop history who can say they had this many top notch producers on their first album out the gate.
Yeah, that was something that really stood out to me because his writing on this album. Because again, I hadn't heard nothing from the game on the mixtape circuit. I wasn't privy to that. I didn't catch it. Freestyles and all that stuff. I heard about it. Believe it or not, I heard about him being in. I read about him being in like freestyle battles and stuff like that. I never heard it. So when the album dropped, the production was undeniable, and you just kind of felt like it. I looking back on it now, I kind of felt like if anybody could like come up with a hook, you can't miss with that album. That's how good the production was.
Right.
I mean, I went through there and tried to pick out the cut I didn't really like. And it was like, man, but these beats though, they crazy.
Yeah.
And with that being said, the thing that I was trying to really just kind of absorb game and kind of see like, where's his gift? Where's his lyrical gift? Like, what is it he does that makes him stand out amongst everybody else, or at least the people that's out now? He name dropped so much in his album, his raps rather. I was just like, golly.
We're going to get there for sure.
Yeah.
And it was like, from what I could take, is like, it kind of sounded like this dude could imitate a lot of people though. Like that's his thing. I guess the name game, I guess that's where that all came from, because you hear him on tracks and his flows when it kind of switches a little bit. Mm-hmm. He's not still in the verse word for word, but he's literally like in their flow pattern. And it's like, okay, I get that. But to me, that wasn't uniqueness. I liked him. Don't get it twisted. I like the album. I still think today that's his best. I just love that album because it was just, you could literally turn that thing on and just let it go. Even if you ain't listening to the words, like this beat knocked though. This beat knocking.
What's up, JG?
So at that point, I was just trying to fill him out.
Nah, like I felt like we heard all of the criticisms, right? You know, like I just felt like it was a dope album. I felt like, you know, like you said, the production off the rip, you know that they want him to win based off of the production. Because as I was doing my research, that was the first thing that stuck out to me. That is like a all-star game worth of production from 2005. Like literally that would be the all-star game of what you would have. I mean, I think the only producer really was missing at that time was Pharrell, like of what you would want. And so you've got that. And then I was, you know, I definitely noticed his ability to mimic other people's flows. And I was initially critical, but having seen him now do it for 15 years, I also recognize the amount of talent it takes to be able to be in everyone else's pocket as well as your own. And so for me, it was like, while it is not a traditional hip hop quality that we would show love to, it was like, damn, this dude can really do it and be proficient at it. Because we've seen some rappers try to get in other rappers' bags and fail miserably. You know what I'm saying? We can never say the game has failed miserably while on a track with anybody else. And so it was just like, with the production, you could literally read Mary Had a Little Lamb over this production, and you at least gonna go gold.
Yeah, that's right. That's how I felt. That's how dynamic that production team was on there. It was just crazy. And then like when you get into the other credits as far as writing and all that stuff, there were some things on the, I won't say the back burner, but some stuff going on behind the scenes to some tracks before they came out as to conversations had between Dre and 50. And I don't know if you want to get into that now or save it for later.
Go ahead. Fuck it, go ahead.
Whereas Dre ran the 50, he ran 50 past the game, like, yo, I need you to work with this cat. He can rap for hours.
Yeah.
He can't construct.
We saw it on bars. What is it? Bars 100 or bars 101? What did he do?
100 bars. What was it? 100 bars and running.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's a rapping motherfucker, man. I don't mean to cut you off, D, but I just want to jump in here and say this. Like, you look at the production credits on here, this is rivaling to Nas's Illmatic production credits on his first album. For him to have that many different producers rock with him on his first album. But see, the difference between him and Nas had Live at the Barbecue. Like, he was anticipated. I don't know if this guy was anticipated like that. I just think it was just being signed to Aftermath and having that Drake co-sign to help him get these guys in a production room with him. And there's no question this dude can rap his ass off. He's a beast when it just comes to rapping, but it's like you're about to say, D, like, it's more than being able to have the skill to rap. It's to be able to make a song. And that is what 50 Cent brought to this album. He was able to help him make songs.
Exactly. And you summed it all up right there. That was the impact of 50 on this album as far as rap construction. I mean, again, like I said, the dude could rap, and they knew that going in, but Dre was trying to tell him, this is all you got, though, bro. You got a bunch of raps. I need songs.
Right.
So he literally was trying to bring people in to basically teach him how to construct a song. The guy could write a rap, but he was trying to teach him how to make a song. And then as what came from that, from those sit-down sessions with 50 or whoever else was brought in, according to 50, and I don't know how valid this is, I mean, basically the hits that came from that album, he like, I wrote them. Hate it or love it. This is how we do. He like, I wrote these things. His biggest cuts on the album, I wrote those.
Yeah, so the concepts, yeah.
Again, you take it with a grain of salt, because at that point, it wasn't long after that for them two fell out. But he was kind of like, but I wrote that. This dude, he could write raps, but he couldn't construct a thing. And then just listen to Game, initially, he didn't dispute it. He didn't start disputing until they relationship took a turn for the worse. Then he started speaking on it. But before that, he wasn't even saying nothing. And when it just hearing those two on a track together, that was the difference between the two of them.
Yeah. But I mean, like, you know what? It's too, you're right. And I believe everything that 50 Cent is saying about that. But it's to Game's credit and his ability to morph and to, like, okay, this is where we're going with it. I can do that. Because you see everybody else in the G Unit was unable to do that.
Yeah.
Not even as much as I love Lloyd Banks and I love his flow and he's a beast in the booth. He was unable to do the things that Game could do because he was not, one, he wasn't willing to, and two, he just couldn't. I mean, Young Buck wasn't able to. Yayo wasn't able to. This guy that he known for 5 minutes, and they just said, like, look, this is another thing that Interscope did. Like, we're going to team you up with 50 Cent, the hottest dude in the game right now, make you G Unit to give you a bigger push. I don't think anybody in the game got a bigger push than Game, like, ever, of all time. Like, they wanted this man to win big time. Big time. JG, you was about to say something?
No, especially not in that time frame. Like, I think, you think about like Young Jeezy, he had none of the push that Game got. Like, this album really had no choice but to do multi-platinum numbers just because it was constantly in our faces. If you was reading the source, if you was reading Double XL back then, it was, there were G Unit, Aftermath, Game. 50 Cent was on the cover of Double XL, seemed like every month with, with no matter who it was. And, but when you, like, just going back to the music, when you listen to How We Do and you listen to Hate It or Love It, the hooks specifically, that's 50 Cent. That was Get Rich or Die Trying 50 Cent. Yes. And so, you got to give 50 credit for what he did the contributions he made to this album. But I think, to say, yo, I wrote that song, it's like, okay, well, you didn't write Game's verses, and Game's verses were definitely part of the reason why the track was hot.
Yes.
And it's like, so, I wish that those brothers, man, would have been able to find a common ground of peace. Because I feel like as a fan, we got robbed of a lot of good music because of the disintegration of G Unit. Like, I mean, because it wasn't too much longer before Buck was gone. And I really liked Buck's first project, and we never got another Buck album. And it was just like, yo, like, all of a sudden it's like, these two dudes is fighting and shooting at each other in front of Hot 97. And it's like, dang, like, we got robbed of all of this good music because of, personality clashes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one more thing before we jump into the break, but song by song breakdown. I want to say, like, I don't want to sound like we saying like this album was only great because of the production or it got a push from 50 Cent because he writing the hooks. Because you know what, he produced. Like, you can have the biggest production in the world, you can have the biggest push from the record label all you want, but you have to produce. And he came up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many people could have failed under the pressure. I mean, we've heard the stories about how hard it is to work with Dr. Dre. I mean, we never got that out. I mean, Eve was signed to Dr. Dre. If you listen to this album, you can hear a lot of references to Eve. Like, this is, they started making this album in '02. It
Yeah.
didn't drop until '05. So Eve flamed out with Dr. Dre because of Dr. Dre and the way he works. Busta Rhymes never dropped that album with Dr. Dre like it was supposed to. Rakim Allah was supposed to drop an album with Dr. Dre. Never happened because of the way Dr. Dre works. Game, who started rapping 3 years before this album came out, was able to make it happen. So you got to give him a ton of credit for that, man. A dude that didn't aspire to be a rapper. He just said, woke up one day after he got shot, I'm gonna be a rapper, and he actually made that shit happen. You gotta give a dude a lot of credit for that. It take a lot of balls to say you in your hospital bed and said, I gotta change my life, I'm gonna be a rapper, like,
yeah. I mean,
and actually do it
Yeah.
he found the
and be
perfect
good at it.
that lifestyle that he lived, because that's something that, I mean, you when you think gangster rap, you can't you can't help but Dre name come to your mind at some point in time. If you talk about somebody that's made an imprint on the game and with just bringing artists along, Dre that dude when it comes to that genre of music. Like, he just do it. He just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You
get what
can't.
you're
I
saying,
mean,
man. Go ahead, JG.
I think, kind of what you're saying. You can't write the story of hip hop without Dr. Dre. You can't write the story of West Coast hip hop without Game. You can't write that story. You have to include him. He's got to have his own chapter in the history of hip hop, West Coast hip hop story, without a doubt.
We gonna get into
Now,
that. We
here's my
definitely gonna
question.
get into that.
Before we get into the
Go ahead. Go
breakdown,
ahead.
get into the
Go ahead. Go
breakdown,
ahead.
I want to throw this out there because we just went around in a circle with how good it was, how Game rose to the occasion with the pressure he was under to be able to answer and not only, do good numbers, but be able to put out an album with Dre where other artists, some of them more established than him, just couldn't do it. They just walked whatever, it just flamed out. With that being said, what rapper do you think wouldn't have did numbers with this album, with this production push he got though? How much of that do you equate, do you just give to Game and say, yo, he rose to the occasion, kudos to him? And how much you look at that and go like, that production, man, who could have failed on that?
Now, I would say the average person would say that who couldn't fail with this production? Who would fail with this production? Who couldn't make it happen with all these guys from this era? But all three of us knowing about the failures, or I won't say failures, the lack thereof of albums from uh, Busta Rhymes and Rakim. We'll just talk about them two because those two are legends in the game.
Busta got 2 albums off of Aftermath though.
Yeah, but those weren't
Big
the
Bang
full
Theory, I
Dre
think
ones.
it is, and another one.
It was the Big Bang Theory, and I can't remember what the other one was. I can't remember what the other album was, but he got two. He got 2 Aftermath albums, and it wasn't. But you're right, it wasn't
It
the
wasn't the Dre album like
album.
how we got like now Nas with um um
Hit
the
Boy.
young boy Hit Boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be an album like that. And it was supposed to get a Rakim album like that, and we never got it. Like, shoot, I mean, it is 2020 and we still waiting on Detox, for God's sakes. So I mean, like, so we know the type of producer and the type of guy Dr. Dre is when he's in that studio. And I just feel like we got to give Game a lot of credit for this, man. He's for a dude that, like, we know about guys that like started rapping like Nas. He was supposed to be the prodigal son of hip hop and everything like that. He's been rapping since he was like 10 years old, and he dropped his debut album when he was 19 years old and everything like that. Everybody knows the story. So he was, quote unquote, chosen to be the rap prodigy. This dude wasn't chosen to be the rap prodigy. This dude literally got shot over 2 pounds of weed and was in his hospital bed and said, I'm going to be a rapper. And went out and bought 5 CDs and listened to them nonstop and said, all right, I'm ready to be a rapper now. And went to the booth and started killing shit. Linked up with possibly the greatest hip hop producer of all time under tons of pressure. Impressed him, impressed the dude that had Snoop, 50, M, Corrupt, The Dog Pound, DOC, Ice Cube, MC Ren, like those type of figures in the game of hip hop. He impressed him enough to say, I want to sign you, put him in the booth with tons of legendary producers, and he came up. He came up. I gotta give this man credit. Got to.
I think the biggest when you talk about giving Game his flowers, and you talk about this particular album, of course, everything was set up for him to win on
Yes.
this particular album. But on every subsequent album, it was not set up for him to win.
Yes.
But his talent and his ability actually has made him somebody that when he drops an album, if he dropped an album tomorrow, I'm listening tomorrow. Like, I think his best album was the documentary 2. Like, I think documentary 2 was better than documentary. And that says a lot. 10 years later, we're talking about this is still a debate. How many cats, like we just talked about Mike Jones, their run was a summer.
Right.
We're talking about a dude who 10 years later is still making significant music, even without the big label backing that
he's straight independent.
Yeah.
Straight independent artist right now, making his own money. D, I think you feel differently.
We'll get through it. I'll get my final. We'll do the breakdown. We'll do the track breakdown. Yeah. And based off of the feedback or our conversation, I'll let you know, if I still feel the same or if my, whatever. But I just feel like now,
JG, we
I ain't gonna lie.
This nigga.
I ain't gonna lie. Going into it, I just kind of feel like it didn't take much to be great on that album, bro. Like, really, he got hit with some production that's like, this production stands the test of time. You could hop in a video and play, hop in a car and play higher and not even listen to you don't have to listen to the words. The beat knock like that. And you like, whatever. It stands the test of time. The production's that good. With Game, one thing that I will say evolved with this guy as his career went on was his storytelling, his subject matter, based on life experiences. It did expand. But this album right here, what we're talking about right here, I will let you know my opinion going into it. Subject matter wise, Game brought nothing to the table that I hadn't heard before. So it was just to me, it was a matter of, I just wanted to hear how could he handle a Drake beat? How could he handle this production? Was he going to rise to the occasion? Was he going to do what he was supposed to do on a Drake track? Or would he just let the track carry him? That was the question going into it for me. Because again, I hadn't heard nothing from him before this album. No freestyle, no nothing. And it was just boom, the album. I heard of him, read about him. I read about him battling legendary New York MCs in ciphers and stuff like that. But there was no footage of it or nothing. So I'm really waiting to hear a straight up lyricist. I'm waiting to hear a straight up lyricist. And then when I heard him, because I kept forgetting he was West Coast, because his buzz was coming from so much from the East Coast. Mm-hmm. His buzz was on the East Coast. So I'm thinking like, if they into him, like, I'm kind of thinking like, what would his sound be like? And it was a lot like what you were saying. He did have East Coast flow in him. He had that vibe, the East Coast tendencies. Yeah. But his subject matter was 100% West Coast. That's where he's from, gang affiliated, all that stuff. So I expected it. But then when I walked away from the album, I was just kind of like, a lot of albums, when you hear something, you get left with a quotable or something. It sticks with you. Dude, I didn't walk away with one. I liked the album. His raps weren't whack. It's just that when I got done listening, I was just like, he didn't embarrass himself. I mean, hey, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by far. It's just that I didn't get that King Kong kick that I thought I was going to get lyrically. I thought I was going to get that boom, like, woo, this boy here. This dude he the truth. I didn't get that.
All right, one more thing.
To track by track and see if my mind changed, man.
Okay, one more thing before we get into the album song breakdown, man. I gotta shout out the album cover. That's a classic ass album cover, man.
Yeah. Sitting on
the Gold Dayton's. That's a nasty ass album cover, man. I always love that one, dog. That's
it was like, that's when I started to feel like, okay, he's a West Coast guy. That's before I even heard it. Then I started listening. I'm like, hey, it's a lot to this dude. He is, as much as it was into his production, that's how much was in his rap. But with that being said, when the smoke cleared and you get through all the name dropping, you go, what he hit me with? That was my vibe on that. That was my vibe on him, man.
All right, man, let's do it, man. We got track one, the intro, produced by Dr. Dre, of course. Just really playing the game of life. That's what the whole thing is. This is what this whole album is about. His name is the game. This is the game of life. These are the cards that he's dealt. And basically, get ready. This is the new West Coast, because you gotta think this is before Kendrick. This is before Don Kennedy. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the West Coast music we've known has been straight Dr. Dre, NWA. It's been affiliated with Dr. Dre. I mean, of course, even DJ Quick. You know what I'm saying? Everything is affiliated with Dr. Dre from the West Coast, especially hardcore gangster shit, rap music. So you getting the new version of it, because this is a couple years after the Chronic 2001. So my biggest thing going into this album, re-listening to it, is has the West Coast changed from when I first started listening to it? And I'll answer that very early on. No, West Coast gangster shit is still West Coast gangster shit. It's like, it's the same old story, just a different dude telling that story, man. So D, where was you at with the intro?
With the intro, was just like you said. It was exactly like you said. It was kind of like him bringing the West back, but he was about to do it his way. This is the West Coast through his eyes, and this is how he's about to bring it to you. So with that being said, again, it just kind of heightened my intrigue toward this album. Like, okay, let's get into this. That really had my antennas up.
Okay, that's what's up. JG, what's up?
I mean, I think kind of the same way. I thought that, reading on this album, the album title was actually supposed to be Niggas with an Attitude Volume, or Nigga with an Attitude Volume 1, and Eazy-E's wife would not allow him to use that title.
How?
Because she owns the Ruthless Records catalog, and so they weren't willing to do the legal fight to title it that.
Right.
But he actually on
rocking NWA chain for a minute.
Yeah, actually, because if you listen to, I want to say it might have been on the intro or it was on one of the tracks where he refers to the album as Nigga with an Attitude Volume 1.
Yeah.
And but when you listen to the intro, it literally sets up, in my opinion, it's like, yo, this is the new West Coast, but I'm also going to pay homage to these cats that came before me. Yeah. So it was a little bit of both, and I really appreciated that, because it's obvious, and he's shown throughout his career that he's really steeped in the knowledge of West Coast hip hop, the history of West Coast hip hop, and he's always shown mad love to those cats. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to get into the main course now. It's a great appetizer.
That's what's up. So we got track 2, West Side Story, produced by Dr. Dre and Scott Storch. This is the first single. This is the street single. For people that's not familiar with how record labels used to do things, especially in the early 2000s, man, they would drop that street single just to get the buzz out there, to see what the streets, because something I learned from the versus battles that's been going on, the streets still run hip hop. I had a debate with my homie Peanut about going into the versus battle between Luda and Nelly. And I was like, I think Nelly's going to win. And the same thing with Fab. I was like, I think Fab's going to win. But ultimately, they both got crushed by street records.
Yeah.
And something record labels know or knew back then, the streets still run hip-hop, especially hardcore hip-hop. So they put out this very street record from the game as their first single, got 50 on the hook. I loved it. I always love this song. This is, if you take a look into my eyes, I'm gonna be a gangster till I die. Like, this is like, we talk about Game being able to be a chameleon and flip to other styles. Like, 50 Cent could do that too. And this is also giving 50 a lot of credit, because I've already said to a lot of my homeboys that this whole versus between T.I. and 50 Cent, that T.I. will wash them. After listening to this album and listening to how many songs 50 has on this album, 50 got some heat for T.I. 50 got some heat for T.I. because, like we talked about, he helped put this project together, man. And this is just one of those songs that that the 50 Cent helped gain with West Side Story. What was you at with it, JG?
I mean, West Side Story, it's like the minute that joint came on and you heard those keys,
Yeah,
you're like,
Yeah,
Side
I am
Story.
I'm getting Dr. Dre. This is the Dre
yeah.
this is the Dre I've been wanting. I've been waiting on this Dr. Dre since the Chronic 2001. This is the Dre that I wanted, and I got it now. And so at that point, this is one of those ones where it's like you already excited because that doom, doom, doom. You're like, oh, I'm getting what I wanted. And you know, the fan in me, when I listen to it this week, I'm like, yes, this is it still gives me that feeling. And then, like you said, you got 50 on the hook, and really just he doing his R&B thing, singing on the hook. But but you got, and then Game is like they say, Game is just he comes in and it's like, yo, this was the perfect joint to release as a street joint because for those of us that really appreciate street music, this was like, yo, okay, let's see what else this dude got because I'm feeling this right here. This was never a track that was gonna do MTV numbers, but it was a track that got the hood ready to listen to Game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm definitely fucking with it. Uh, Shoot, where was you at with it, D?
Dude, it just like JT said, man. When that track drop and you hear them keys, is that Dre production right there to get you. Like, and you like, okay, the beat is there. The beat is there. Like the stage is set. 50 on the hook. It seemed like everybody playing their position and they at their best. So all you need Game to do is just, all right, man, bring it home. Bring it home, brother. Do what you do. Don't drop the ball. And I have to say, that first album, I said, okay, I'm feeling this cat right here. I like what I'm hearing. I'm like where it's going. They got 50 on the hook. Not that he couldn't rap, but at that point in time, like his biggest albums was he was the hook guy. His hooks was nice. That's what he was known for. Also at that time during his run. But that first album, I mean that first song where we talking about West Side Story, that didn't make me want to turn it off. At this point in time, I'm thinking like, okay, Dre on this horse. Let's see for how many tracks I'm gonna get out of him because he's on this horse right now.
Right.
Honestly, I think that's a key point. Was this the last time that Dre was on his horse? Like, is this the last time that we got? This the last time?
Hey, he went early with that one, D. I was saving that for like around like midway through the album. But since we here, let's go ahead and get into it. Like, so I know our boy Kelly's gonna listen to this, and Kelly is a staunch believer that Dre hasn't made a hit record since basically this album. I would disagree, but JG, you might beg to differ.
Well, I mean, I tell you what, like I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, of course, Dre only dropped, every lunar solstice. And so,
he might need to start getting back working since his ex-wife asking for the $2 million.
We gonna get detox now. You know what I'm saying? As soon as that divorce is done, we'll get detox 2 weeks later. But nah, I mean, seriously, like when I think about it, we haven't really gotten a full Dre produced album. I mean, Compton, I didn't really care for Compton. Like Compton didn't do like sonically, it was amazing. I didn't really like the rappers. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like the guys that he was introducing, in my opinion, didn't have the star power that we saw on the Chronic or on 2001. So for me, like, I mean, I'm thinking about maybe just those bonus tracks that was on Good Kid, Mad City, like the ones that Dre did at the end of Good Kid, Mad City, maybe that. But other than that, like, it's not like he lost it, but it's just we don't get to see it that often because he's still spending headphone money.
Right. That's a true statement. For me, with Dre, it's much like everybody knows, man. This dude he's a weirdo, man. And I mean that in the truest sense, and I all due respect, man. But you got your weirdos in music. You have your weirdos that are control freaks and that want things to sound a certain way before they're released. And we heard all the stories. We heard stories from Snoop. We done heard stories from DOC. We done heard stories from Jay-Z, T.I. about them actually hearing Detox and how amazing it is. And Dre don't like it. And he's not putting it out because he don't like it. So then we get the Compton album, which I actually like. I agree with you. Like the guys on the album, he hasn't been able to find the next wave of guys outside of Anderson .Paak being on that album.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody on that album has really popped. I mean, Marsha Ambrosius was already somebody when she was on that album. So anybody else on that album, I don't think they really popped when working with Dre. And maybe that's because working with Dre is very difficult. We heard it from Eve herself. When she was working with Dre, it was very difficult because at the same time, he was working with Eminem. So she was unable to release a project because he was like, he found somebody else that like really caught his ear. Basically, at the same time, she caught his ear. So like, oh, he's trying to do two things at once, but this person, like, he sees the vision a lot clearer with them. So he puts all his energy into M, and boom, Eminem's a star, and Eve has to go to Rough Riders. It works out great for her. But like, Dre is such a mind, just a guy that's so focused on one thing at a time that I don't think we're ever going to get Detox. Uh, the next great Dre album is going to come out when we're like 50 years old, and it's just what we're gonna have to deal with. It's just like this is Dr. Dre. I'd rather have Dr. Dre act like this than Kanye act the way he acts.
When Kanye spazzed, he hurt the whole culture, man. So, Dre might put out a bad album. Worst case scenario, this dude will bring down the whole culture, man.
Yeah, I just, I think with Dre, man, like, dude is so like you said, he's so talented. I think that talent does come with quirks. Like, watching, I don't know if y'all watched the Rough Rider documentary where Eve talked about her time with Aftermath. That was hella interesting. But he still blazed Eve with a couple of really nice tracks. Like, when you think of Eve music, the first thing you think about is Let Me Blow Your Mind, and that's signature Dr. Dre. Like, when he's in his bag, he's in his bag. It's just, I think at the end of the day, he's talked about having a struggle of being a gangster rapper at his age, which I get. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, dude, we need you. Like, I mean, like, honestly, like, I really want to have an intervention with Dr. Dre and Andre 3000. And like, yo, the culture needs you, dog.
Good luck with that. That nigga 3000 walking around with a clarinet. Last time I seen him on the net. I mean, it's all due respect. It's all due respect. Do your thing, but we need you back in the booth, Playboy. And we don't need you singing. We need these bars. We need these bars, dog. But go ahead, D. Go ahead.
We're still on West Side Story.
Oh no, okay, shoot. We can go on to track 3. Track 3, Dreams, produced by Kanye West. Back before Kanye went absolutely crazy. This is the 5th single off this album. I remember this video. It got Maya in the video because he name dropped her. And this is really where we get the name dropping of Game. He name drops a ton of people throughout this entire album, but the whole name dropping of Maya on The King and then having her in the video. Quality video, quality song, produced by Kanye West. Where was you at with it, D?
It was a quality song, like you said. The name dropping, this was the beginning right here. And at this point, I didn't mind it because you hear a lot of rappers, spit in the booth or they do albums. You go, man, that was dope. Who's he talking about? You'll never walk away from a Game album wondering who he's talking about. He's gonna tell you at least 3 times. But as it went on, he got in his bag about the whole dreams and all that. But granted, him being West Coast, I felt some of the West Coast nuances to it. But this being a Kanye track, his East Coast influence started to come through on here, and it was a great balance in this song, and I really liked it. This is where I kind of felt like I'm getting something new from this guy. He's not your typical West Coast guy. So at this point, I'm wide open. I'm like, okay, I like it. Another one. Check mark. He's still on his
what's up?
Yo, I mean, honestly, this is one of my favorite tracks on the album. I think like top 3 for me. The Kanye production, the drums, and then the way Game was able to play with the single or with the sample. Like, I thought it was a dope sample. I thought that how dramatic the track was. And then you go into the live guitar, the boom, 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 boom. Like, yo, like, dude is going in, and it's like, you're listening to him really kind of talk through his journey to where he is. And I think, honestly, and this is just maybe me trying to psychoanalyze Game through his music, but I've always felt that a lot of his name dropping is really him not real, or him really like, yo, I'm here because I was laying in a hospital bed about to die, and now I'm here hanging out with Eve, or Whitney Houston is talking to me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just like, honestly, like as somebody who has a dream, if you have a dream to do anything, this is the perfect soundtrack to that.
Absolutely. And we can't leave this song without talking about the best line from this song. Anything is possible if 50 fuck Vivica. I mean, that was it. That was the thing. That was the thing. 50 was bagging
but
Vivica.
It was kind of like I said, it plays into that bag of the name dropping thing, which at that point, I'm with it. I was with it this early in the album. I'm with it. I'm like, okay, he really putting it out there. I hope him and 50 like real cool because he putting it way out there. But again, at this point, he gained only none to the imagination when he rapped. If he dissing you, you know exactly who he talking to, whoever it is. And again, this track had great balance from East Coast to West Coast influence. And that's what I loved about it. And I kind of felt like here, that track that Kanye gave him, I felt like it was perfect. It fit perfectly.
You know what? I should have looked up that sample that was. I didn't even look at it. I'll look that up later. So then we on to track 4. One of my favorite songs on here, the third single off this album, man. Hate it or love it. You know, back in my hooping days, back in my days, I used to get in my bag at the hoop court when we have our leagues at the YMCA after a hard-fought victory. You know, I'll go to my Mitsubishi Galant sitting on 18-inch chrome rims, and I would play this, blaring out of me and my homeboy Rail would play this after we came away with a nice little victory. And the hook is so great. Hated to love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine. Like, this was my theme song for when I would win a game playing some basketball. I love this song. I mean, it's classic. You get 50. I was confused coming up. My mama kissing her girl. You get that line. You get the great hook from 50. This, and all due respect to Game because he brings it on this, but this is, I would consider this a 50 Cent song featuring the Game instead of vice versa. JG, where you at?
I mean, I think what you said was absolutely correct. I think, you know, seeing 50 go into his personal bag of growing up, you know, I mean, honestly, like, I love to hear artists talk about themselves. Forget what you're trying to sell me. Talk about what you're actually living, what you saw, what you've been through. That's what's always going to keep me listening to an artist. And when him coming up, that's like the first line. Coming up, I was confused, my mama kissing a girl. And it's like, oh, snap, wait a minute. But then that beat, and then it's like the beat is crazy.
Cool and Dre. Got to get him props for this beat.
50, and then 50 comes in and Game comes in. It's like you said, you know, this is again filling out my top. This is on my top 3 on this album. Like, Hate It or Love It is a classic song. Period, point blank. It is a classic.
D, what's up?
Hey man, I don't want to echo exactly what you said of it being a 50 song, but his influence was heavy on this track. It was
for
heavy.
Sure.
Overall, I like the grouping of the rappers, not just because it was 50 and Dre. Their stories, this was a rags and riches story in this rap right here. Basically, where they both came from, the success they're now experiencing, and the way that they're seeing life through a different lens right now due to their success. And these two guys being put together with 50 being shot, Game being shot, it was a good pairing. It really was a good pairing. And again, this is one of them tracks where 50 and Game on there, and you just look like this is a kid with a great jumper, but this kid got an all-around game. Yeah. And that's 50 just seemed more relaxed as in knowing what to do. He was more relaxed on the track. Game didn't embarrass himself by far. He didn't embarrass himself at all, but 50's influence was heavy on this track. You know, I didn't really consider it a 50 track though, but it's like I see why you do consider it a 50 track.
No, I tell you what, I think you're right, D. But I think also, like, we're also talking about 50 who have been rapping for a decade versus Game who have been rapping for 3 years. So the comfort level, like, you know, even with myself, like recording, like, you know, what I record now, versus what I recorded 10 years ago when I first started recording is completely different. And I think you're seeing, I think honestly, like the maturation of Game, the problem is that he probably shouldn't have been on this album because it was too soon. But the dude's talent was undeniable. This is like, you know what I'm saying? This is the quarterback. You get a quarterback the keys to the offense before he's ready. Like we see this happen in sports all the time.
The Mayfield. No, I get where you're going with that. No, but I that's a great point, though. That's a great point. Because granted, this is after Get Rich or Die Trying. 50 has been all over the place at this point. I mean, he's a household name. His comfort level was very apparent on this track. Whereas Game, like you said, his talent was undeniable. It's like, yeah, I know he's green, but guess what? I got to get him on the field, though. Yeah. This dude, he know what he's doing. He can make some things happen. So I get that. And that's why I was telling Kev, the 50 influence is heavy, but I won't call it a 50 track. And it's because of what he just said. Because of that, right? That's why I'm not giving 50 the whole thing as his thing. It ain't like a Ghost and Ray thing. It's not like that.
Okay. We ain't gonna go there. We ain't gonna go there. That's a whole nother bag. I will give Game some more props on here, man. Like, and talk about the era that we were living in, man. The line that he drops about, now I got my Jacob on, see how time fly. Like, this is the era of the Jacob watches. Like this is a whole era, man, that I lived, and it was just an amazing time to be in the game and being alive, man. You know, especially like we talked about it before, actually having not a lot of money, a little bit of money, being able to like actually, hey man, let's take a trip and fly there instead of driving. Yeah, let's do that. Like this is the baby steps to leveling up in life for me, man. That's why I really mess with this album. Track 5. This is a monster. This is a fucking monster. And this goes to your point, D. You can't fuck this up. This is Higher. This is a Dre beat. This is the 4th single.
Dre is still on his horse at this point.
Yeah, big facts. And I will say this, as much as I love this beat, I went back and listened to 2001 because it reminded me of maybe a beat that didn't make 2001. And he had it tucked away. Maybe Corrupt didn't rap the right verse. Maybe Snoop's hook wasn't right. And he went in his bag like, yo, gang, here's an alley-oop. Can you finish? And that nigga came through with a 2-hand tomahawk on this, man.
Yeah.
He came with it on this, man. And Higher, damn that beat. Damn. Yeah. So anybody that ever disrespects Dr. Dre and talks about like, well, shit, 2001, that's it. After that, he don't do shit but make headphones. Listen to this album. Damn, Higher's a hell of a beat. Where was you at with it, JG?
I mean, I think what you just said, like, every time I heard this song, I remember reading, I think it was XXL back then, that this was a beat that was supposed to be on Detox around that time. This was a Detox beat. Okay. And like actually from the way I understood it, Dre scrapped Detox to make Get Rich or Die Trying, then scrapped Detox to make to make the documentary. Like whatever, so basically he's tried to make it a bunch of times, but this, when I first heard this, I'm like, Snoop's supposed to come in on this at some point in time. Like that's what I'm saying. I'm supposed to hear Snoop somewhere on this beat. And you know, like the beat was bananas, and the way Game rode the beat was amazing. Like this was this track right here was like, yo, this dude is serious. And I do want to point out that the first like 4 or 5 tracks of this album, it's like if you ain't into this album after this, it's like, what are you listening to?
Facts. Facts. D, what's up?
You know where I'm at with it. When I played this song probably like 5 times for actually listening to Game's rap. That's how much the beat had. That dooms. I was like, oh, this thing bang.
And then whatever reverb he put on the other keys, damn.
I know it was like it wasn't until after the 5th time I heard that song that I was like, let me listen to what he actually saying though. Like it came way after the fact. Drake was on his horse. This, like you said, like the last song, like the other one was 50 was heavily, had his imprint on that one. This was Dre. all day. This track was all about Dre. I mean, what just hearing him say that he took from Detox, I knew he took from Detox for 50. I didn't know he did it for game as well. Because that him doing that, that's a hell of a flip. That's a hell of a flip. You putting that thing out one time and only you own it. Now you bust it down into 2 albums. Yeah, that's a great. If you know, I can understand now why we haven't heard Detox. It makes perfect sense.
Well, I mean, keep giving that shit away to everybody.
Exactly.
I mean, the thing is that I feel like Dre's vault right now could rock parties for probably the next 15 years. Like his vault right now would have us moving for like 15 years. And it's just like we can't get it. Like this is like I'm hurt genuinely by the fact that I don't have more either Dr. Dre albums or Dr. Dre executive and produced albums to be able to say, yo, this is, in my lifetime. I feel like I'm being cheated right now.
I mean, he is the Quincy Jones of hip hop for a reason, man.
But Quincy had more albums.
This dude, he getting money from these, man. He don't need none of that. He don't need that in his life.
I tell you what, for as far as maybe his catalog may not be as deep as we want it to be. One thing you could say about Dre versus a lot of other so-called great producers or moguls that consider themselves like at the top of the food chain when it comes to doing that. When he brings in the artists, they stand the test of time. They don't just fall off. You don't see him on the corner with a can rapping for food or trying to pick up 500 for doing a house party. These dudes are well off. The game respects him, and they change the game. He doesn't just bring in artists that match a current state of hip hop. They change it. They change it. They leave an imprint on the game, and that's something I've always given him. I've always given him.
Dre albums are paradigm shifters. Like, they shift the culture. NWA shifted the culture. The Chronic shift the culture. 2001 shift the culture. Those albums, again, when you talk about writing the story of hip hop, you can't write the story of hip hop without those albums. You can't write it. It just doesn't happen.
Facts. And I will say about Higher, that used to be my favorite song on the album.
Used to be. Okay.
Used to be. So, all right, we on the track 6. How we do with 50 Cent back again. Another Dre beat, the second single off of this album. I can't tell you how huge this record was. Remember, this is the heavy club era for me. This is me going to the club on Wednesdays, bruh. And I have a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I'm working at the radio station, but I'm going out to pay to go to the club, even though I work at the radio station. Even though I can go to the club for free on Friday and Saturday night because I'm working. But I want to go out because I love being out. I love being out. This song would play nonstop. Not only nonstop on the radio, nonstop at the club. This was played every single club in the city. Matter of fact, scratch that, in the state, because this was when I was coming up to Columbus to kick it with you, JG. We would hear this song. This song was huge, huge record. D, where was you at with How We Do with 50 Cent in the game?
You already know, like I said, again, you see the comfort level 50 has on the track. Because when he starts to go in his bag towards the end of the song, 50,
Bentley.
Yeah, he get into that. And I'm like, right now he's just showing off right now. Because Game didn't embarrass himself. But once again, on this track, he kind of separated himself from Game a little bit. Like, okay, I see you up and coming, but I've been here. And I've been here for a minute. And you can see that. But as far as the track itself, Dre's still on his horse. The party is still rolling. And this is like the perfect pairing on this track right here. So at this point in time, again, these two have not fallen out. It's still G Unit. They still doing their thing. I loved it. I loved it. At this point in time, the game is he's climbing my ladder as far as West Coast guys that I like. So far on this album, he's still climbing that ladder. And I'm feeling it all the way through.
Yeah, I think this single was so monstrous. You heard it everywhere. Like you couldn't go anywhere and not hear this. Like if you was watching the game, they were playing it in the stadium. Like this track was everywhere. And so, you can't hate this. This song is undeniable. And it's probably one of maybe 3 or 4 undeniable songs on this album where it's like the beat is crazy, but then the flow from both rappers is like, yeah, this is out of here. This is out of here. Let's not even discuss this. Like, it's like, yo, you can't, like, I don't know a person that does not like this song. I don't know a person.
Now, granted, 50 claims he wrote this whole song. I just want to throw that out there. He said he wrote this whole song.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Throwing that out there. That's what he said.
As talented
and if that's true.
And as talented as 50 Cent is, I never saw him as a pen. Like, I see Jay-Z as a pen. I never saw 50 Cent as a pen. Like, he can rap his ass off. And he come with concepts and give a song a certain type of energy and a certain type of feel and the angle, the concept you want to go. I'm not buying he wrote this song. I'm not buying he wrote
the only reason I entertain that is because during the making of Get Rich or Die Trying, Dre really deconstructed 50 as far as from a writing standpoint. He was telling him that he needed some of the stuff that he was throwing in there was too East Coast influential. You need to slow it down, let the beat work for you, but don't let it outdo you. And people can gravitate to what you're saying and understand what you're saying. During that time, like, that became his entire style change. Before he got with Dre, 50 didn't rap, like, he didn't sound like he sounded out, like post Dre. He didn't have that sound. It wasn't as clear or as articulate. And I think he took that from Dre and really drove it home. And Dre knew that, which is why it was important to Dre to bring him in and say, put some of this shit on game. Because right now, this dude's filling up notebooks, man. But it's like, he can't break it down bar for bar, and I ain't got a chorus in there or nothing. I just got a big ass rap, and he think it's an album. So I could see that part. That's why I kind of entertain that fact. To me, that's that line, rather, so to speak, from 50 about him writing it, because he was more polished as a writer, as far as song construction, so to speak. I kind of thought maybe he did. I he did. I'm just saying.
JG, what's up, man? Rebuttal.
I mean, you know what? We'll never know the truth behind it. I mean, I think at the end of the day, these guys, it's another one of those moments where it's like, yo, I just wish we could have got more music from them.
Facts.
I just wish we could have got more music from them. Like, I wish we would have gotten to see, like, a mature game, like a 2012 game and 50 together and see what happens, because regardless of what their relationship is now, what's undeniable is the fact that they made classics in 05.
Yes.
Like, this joint's classic. It's a monster single. I feel like 50 was the perfect complement to Game. I mean, honestly, because in all honesty, Game could have messed around and been like a West Coast Cannabis had it not been for learning how to song structure. Like, that's literally what he could have been.
He's a rapping ass dude, man. I wonder, does Game perform these songs from this album?
He has to.
I don't think he does, man. I think he's such a prideful guy that he's not performing these records, man. Like, I don't think he's performing songs that he made with 50 Cent. Even though they're, like, for us, they're huge records, but I think he's developed a fan base outside of this album.
Yeah, you don't have to refer to that stuff if you're Game. You don't have to go back to your nostalgia.
Because he got a lot of bangers, like, outside of this. Like, a lot of projects outside of this that he doesn't have to go to.
He does.
Now, if us three were to go to a show and he doesn't do Hate It or Love It, I'm going to be pissed. Maybe he only does like his verse, but like, yo, like, you imagine, obviously it will never happen because 50 Cent is just such a psychopath. Like, I don't know if y'all saw this latest interview he did with DJ Who Kid, but he was like, he wished he never created G Unit and all that type of stuff. Like, but dude, like, you don't understand, like, not only the impact that G Unit had and the music that was created in that era. Like, this album that the Game has with the G Unit and 50 Cent's influence is epic, man. Like, if I was to go to a G Unit show or a Game show and I hear Hate It or Love It or How We Do, I want my money back.
Yeah.
I want my money back, dude. This is why I came here. Yeah, the new shit is cool. I'm fucking with it. For sure. but I need that bona fide classic shit.
I mean,
So
Yeah. Go ahead, JT.
go
You
ahead.
got it.
nah, I just feel like, if like I feel like Kev, if I don't hear this song at a game show, I'm gonna be upset. Like, and I'm gonna be happy to hear One Blood. I'm gonna be happy to hear the documentary 2. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be happy to hear the joints off of 1992. I'll be happy to hear all of
Ooh,
those
that's a
joints.
smacker.
But if I don't hear Higher and Hate It or Love It and Dreams, if I don't hear those tracks, I feel like I got an incomplete show. Like I feel like, I can't even grade the show. It's an incomplete.
That's fair
Well, to
enough.
speak of what you were saying, Kevin, about how 50 said that he would like to forget the whole G Unit thing. He wish it never happened or whatever. Game did reach out not too long ago to extend what was some people called an olive branch. He wanted to, do the whole reunion tour, G Unit thing, get it all back together, so to speak. But 50 had other stuff going at that point in time. He is pretty much gravitated to, TV shows, stars. I mean, he trying to be the next Tyler Perry. I think
Yeah.
that rap is something that he's leaving behind. But
Well,
with
yeah.
that being said, it did leave like JT said, a huge question mark. You really don't know where it could have went because the corporate success that G Unit had become with just
Dude.
merchandise, clothing, shoes, video games.
Yeah.
Um, it was all over the place. Then just to have that stop,
Yeah.
like, and for 50, it was cool that you could switch gears and get your bag from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Gang was able to stay in the rap game and still do his thing, but the guys that I would have to say really got hurt by that move was Yayo, Buck, Yayo, Buck, and what's his name?
Thanks.
Banks. They all got hurt. They got hurt by that move because it was
And-
more to it than that. It was
and
they
you
could have.
said- You bring up
They
a
could've
great
so
point. You
much
bring up a great point about Banks, Yeho, and Buck being financially hurt by that or whatever. But this is to Game's credit. He's the one still alive out of that whole camp outside of the lead guy.
Yeah.
The lead guy is gonna always eat. I mean, shoot, you can look at Ludacris. He's still eating, but who else is eating throughout that camp? 2 Chainz still made his way.
Yeah.
You look at Nelly, he's still eating. I'm sure them dudes are still eating because they were like tight like this, but like their other guys aren't relevant like that. But you look at G Unit, 50 is obviously eating. We got Power Book 2 starting tonight. He's got shows on ABC. He's got more shows coming to Stars. But the other guy from G Unit that's still eating is the Game. So that's where I know we're really focused on this album, but it's his post work after this album that really makes him stand out from outside the crew to say, like, well, I don't need you because I can make it on my own. So I salute him for that. So we on the track 7, Don't Need Your Love with Faith Evans. Got a beat produced by Havoc. Now, we went into this deep, me, Big Hunt, Kales, and Maine on Havoc's production on the classic album, Mobb Deep's, the infamous album. And, you got to give Havoc a lot of credit for learning how to make more than one beat. Havoc's production has grown throughout the years for him to be able to make a dark and gloomy track, because that's what he's known for, but not have it sound exactly the same. I mean, you got, like, this just goes back to Interscope saying, yo, we need you to win. So you went and get Faith on the hook. Later on, you get a Mary J. Blige hook. We got Mobb Deep's Havoc on here, man. This is the first song where, I mean, it's still a cool song, but it's like turns into a different direction. It's more that introspective West Coast shit. I still fuck with it, but it's like not something that I'm going to play on a regular basis. Where was you at with it, JG?
Yeah, I think this was after that high of the first 6 tracks.
Yeah.
I think this was that. This
comes down a little bit.
This is the beginning. This was the beginning of the come down. Like, I felt like the song. I mean, you get the Faith hook, you get the Havoc track. Like you said, and at this time, this was what, right before Mobb Deep joined G Unit.
Yes.
And so, like, you really, like you said, you saw the evolution of Havoc's beat making. It was a dope track. I think it's really interesting that with Game being such a West Coast dude, there's no DJ Quick production on this. I thought that was really interesting. There was no Quick production on this at all.
Yes.
But I think Quick and Dre were beefing at that time.
Really?
I think they had an issue with that time. I'm not quite sure on that, but I thought they had an issue with that time. But I just, for him again, it talks about his East Coast influences that you pull Havoc from the East Coast to rock this G Unit joint. And I thought it was a good track, but it's just hard to compare it. It's like a candle in the sun. Like you can't, it don't stack up to the first 6 tracks.
D, what's up?
I'm with JT on that one. Coming down the line leading up to this song, like when I see "Don't Need Your Love," I ain't gonna lie, I had my finger on the skip button. Like I'm not about to hit it. I'm gonna give 15 seconds, and you better make me want to stop. And as we got into it, I'm listening because I'm picking up the fact that Havoc had something to do with the song. They even gave him some writer credits on here, so I stopped and I'm like, okay, let me take this in. It wasn't horrible, but like JT said, the only problem is we had too many good songs before it. So I was like, it's good. It ain't gonna ruin the album by far, but it's not something that I'm gonna put it on just to hear. I mean, I would, prior to replaying this album, I forgot it was on the album.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And that goes into track 8, Church for Thugs. This is a Just Blaze beat. Now, for me, personally, when this album came out, I never liked this song, and I still don't like this song.
What?
I just, and we'll get to the other song that's produced by Just Blaze. As much as Game has the ability to be a chameleon and to rap different styles and to rap over basically anybody's production and make it his own, I just don't think him and Just Blaze fit well together. When I hear a Just Blaze track, and maybe it's just me, I want to hear Beanie Siegel. I want to hear Jay-Z. I want to hear Bleak. I just don't like this song.
Never wants to hear Bleak.
Don't hate on my guy Bleak. Don't hate on my guy Bleak. I just don't think this song.
Bleak never should have been allowed in the studio.
I just don't like this song, man. I gotta say, I love Game. I love Just Blaze. I just don't think they mesh well together. Obviously, I'm the only one that feels this way. D, what's up?
I'm actually feeling the song. This song, beat wise, it reminded me of Banks had a beat very similar to this on his first album. I cannot remember the name of the song though, but it had that feel to it. The beat wise, it reminded me of it. Just look at hearing the title, Church for Thugs. I'm expecting some Tupac type kind of thing. I really was. And I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I ain't gonna lie, the album lost some steam with the track before, but this, I feel like we're reestablishing that momentum at this point, and we're still moving. I was into it. I liked it.
I mean, it got the NWA sample. It has everything in there that I should like, but I just don't. I just don't.
I'm actually right there with you. I'm actually right there with you. Like, this song just didn't do it for me. Like, when I heard Just Blaze on the intro, I was like, and even just listening to it, I was like, I forgot the song was on here. But then when I heard him on the intro, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this song. Like, it just didn't. It didn't.
Oh, I remember this song. I meant to skip it.
It didn't move me. It didn't move the needle on me. Like, it didn't move the needle for me at all. Like, I wanted to really enjoy that. And it's like Just Blaze was so hot and ridiculous at that point in time. Yeah. I just, like you said, I just didn't feel like Game really fit on this track. Like, this was a track that should have gone to somebody else. Maybe, who knows, but it shouldn't have been. I don't think Game should have been on this track.
I thought his versatility came through on this track, though. I really did. I didn't expect him to be able to do much of anything with it. I really didn't. And again, I thought he made something of it. I liked it, actually.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So we on the track 9, Put You on the Game, a Timberland beat. Now, we know what we're going to get from a Timberland beat. We're going to get some out of the world shit. Timberland can make a beat out of a rooster and a drum, and make that shit sound hard as hell. This beat is a monster. I'm surprised this song wasn't bigger. I'm surprised this song wasn't one of the million singles they put off of this album. This was huge. I love this record. I love this song. JG, what's up?
You know what this song reminds me of? When I listened to it recently, it put me in the mind of Dirt Off Your Shoulders.
Yep.
The Jay-Z
Yep.
joint. It put me in that mind frame. Like Timberland, in my opinion, listening to this, even though Tim has his own sound, and I would never say anything negative about all the greatness that Timberland has brought to my life, the big booty girls who twerked on me in 2005. I will say, this brother, this sounds like a very, very high quality knockoff Dr. Dre beat. Like a very, very high quality. Like my thing is that because you don't hear Kent Timberland using the dark chords like that, like he used on Put Me in the Game very much. And like I love the song. Like I loved it. I thought it was a great song. I thought that, Game did his thing on it. And it was like, yo, like this dude's got a Timberland track. Like, this was back then, you had to be really exclusive to get a Timberland track. Still do, but you really had to be exclusive to get a Timberland track. And to see him get on this track and really wreck shop like he did, like this is a very good thing. That's it. He killed it.
Yes. God damn.
Hey, you know what though? When I hear that track, that sounds like something Justin Timberlake should have had. It really do. It sounds like something you with Justin Timberlake, man. But
JT would have killed that shit too.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell you, man.
Doing all that shit.
I liked it. This song became relevant right when 50 got not 50, but when 50 in the Game had they little disagreement, so to speak. This song came out as a single right when he got kicked out of G Unit.
Yeah.
And I almost like took it like, now this is the push of him establishing himself. Yeah. Because, and I'm looking at the album, I'm like, I don't think he got nothing else on the album with 50 anyway. We passed that point. Yeah, but that's when that push started. I thought this was a good way to step out. Not a bad track to promote. Prior to that, though, this wasn't released as a single.
Right.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
They didn't, not to after they had the disagreement and wanted them out of G Unit. I liked it. The name dropping really started to come relevant in this song again. With him, the one bar he got with Timberland and mentioning Snoop, so to speak. And at this point in time, I'm saying like, so this is the thing with this guy. And I'm learning now, I just have to deal with it. The name dropping is just part of that. Like Steve Spurrier and the Sun Visor. Like it just goes together. You can't get one without the other. So at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, so this is who he is and what he does. But I still liked it. The beat, like you said, was crazy. When I heard that drop, I was like, Justin Timberlake about to come on. He needs to be somewhere around, man. But I liked it. I really did. Game did his thing. He showed some versatility once again. Because again, Timberland, like, besides Timberland and Magoo, like what rappers had he, Jay-Z down the line, but I'm like, hip hop wise,
no,
he had kind of beats that anybody could have got him.
He had some ludicrous stuff.
And it was like, I couldn't, when you, like you say, you hear Timberland, you don't think like, oh, put the Game on that.
Like hardcore hip hop, like hardcore gangster
shit. You don't put that on there, like this gangster rap. Whereas again, Game just had that East Coast influence in him to where he could fit in some spaces you didn't think he could.
Yeah, I felt like this was a great album that talks about like, let me put you on the game. Like I'm reading the hook right now, and it's I'll show you where the blood's at, where the Crips at, show you where they flip crack, where they pitch at. Let me put you on the game. Like this is him literally introducing you to his West Coast. And I thought that was dope.
Yeah.
I thought that was real dope. Like this is like, yo, this is my West Coast. This ain't Dre's West Coast. This is what I'm showing you.
Right. Yeah, because Dre's and NWA West Coast was not about gang affiliation. It's all about neighborhood affiliation.
Yeah.
This is really gang culture to its finest with Game. So track 10, Start My Life from Scratch. Another Dre and Scott Storch beat. Got Marsha Ambrosius on the hook. Is it just me? But was it sounding like the brother was crying when he was rapping?
It did, and so I actually had to read up on that one because I thought he was.
Hit me to this.
He actually wasn't crying. Dre admitted that he got that dude hella drunk before they stepped in and recorded. Yeah, got him drunk. Why? I don't know. I don't know why But I guess he wanted that effect. Yeah, Dre got him drunk. Dre got him drunk and told him, all right, hit the booth, man. Go ahead, do what you do. And it was like, it came out like that. I guess that's the effect he wanted. But I thought he was crying too, because I was like, man, I'm about to skip this. Like, why is this guy crying? Yeah, I was going to skip it. He was real close to getting it skipped. I had to read up on that song. Like, why did that sound like that?
JG, what's up?
That was the method to Dre's madness.
I mean, I felt like it was a cool song. Like, I felt like it was a solid album track. Like, it was a solid album track. I think the drunk effect, because we saw him do that again on the Doctor's Advocate.
Yeah.
Where where he's obviously intoxicated in the booth. I thought it was a solid album track. It's these types of tracks where it's not going to bang in anybody's club, but it's like it's giving you the value in the album. Like, the singles are what's going to drive you to buy the album, but it's tracks like this that make you say, I like this album. Yes. And I think this was a solid album track. And again, dude just talking about his life, talking about what growing up a blood in Compton was like.
Yeah. So we on to track 11, the title track, the documentary. There's so many things that can be said about this album or this song in general. One of those things is there's a clip inside the song where Dre says you're trying to do them Calvin Broadus numbers. Obviously talking about Snoop.
Yeah, Calvin Broadus numbers.
Yeah. And that is back to the fact that they put the hellified push behind his brother.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure this album was a success. And throughout the hook, he's shouting out the albums that he bought to learn how to rap. So I want to run some of those albums down, man. The Chronic, Doggy Style, Death Certificate, All Eyes on Me, Illmatic, Ready to Die, Reasonable Doubt. Those are the albums that he learned how to rap from. And that ain't too bad. That's not a bad list of albums to grab if you're trying to learn how to rap.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think if you're trying to be a bi-coastal star in hip-hop back then, those are the albums that you need to listen to be able to learn how to affect all coasts. I mean, at that time, and I think it's important especially for younger listeners, it's important to understand this was at the beginning of the South being relevant. Yeah. This is before the South really took over. So there was no Scarface joints in that because, Scarface at that point was still niche to a lot of people. And it's like, if you wanted to be big in hip hop in 2005, it was pretty much East Coast, West Coast, or you were Outkast. And that was it. Yeah. So, to see dude come in and pay homage to these tracks, to these albums, and then create a dope track, I thought it was a fitting title track to the album.
D, what's up?
Man, this track right here, the name dropping persists. It continues on.
But on this one, I will argue with you.
Just said,
it is justified on this one, though.
It is, because he's referencing his influence to what, got him into rapping or wanting to rap, so to speak. So these are good. Again, these are all good people to pull from. And as you alluded to before we even got into the track breakdown, only West Coast album dropped that year. Only West Coast album dropped that year. So I felt as though he needed to, or wanted to anyway, try to connect to both sides, East and West Coast. Because at that point in time, that he was repping the West Coast at that point in time. No other projects were out. No other notable ones anyway. Yeah. The intro rather I found it hilarious with the little kid arguing with the lady. I thought
I don't even know why that's on there though. Like, I don't get the purpose.
Hey, once again, it's the West Coast through his eyes, man.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Yeah. But there was a reference from Fab Five Freddy. He brought up the so-called rift or the disrespect that Jay-Z kind of thought the game shot at him.
Yeah.
He said West Side Story. He thought spit in his face. I honestly did think that was a line of bullshit. I don't think he was talking to Ja. I do think he was talking to Jay.
Yeah.
I thought that's a line of bullshit. I would have respected him more had he just said, yeah, I was. And said, but I retracted. I shouldn't have did it and just stood on it, because right after this, That's when the Jay-Z disrespecting campaign started. Like he's going hard on Jay-Z at this point. It's like what you just said. I don't take shots at legends. That's just something I don't do.
And
Yes, you do.
That's exactly what you do.
Just
man.
give it a few weeks.
Exactly. Right.
Give it a few weeks.
We on the track 12, running with Tony Yayo. We on to running with Tony Yayo, produced by High Tech. And this once again says, we want you to win. They went and got a High Tech beat. High Tech?
Went to Cincinnati.
Like, they went to the Nasty Natty and got High Tech. Like, High Tech really only produces for people that's in the DIC digging out the crates. Like, that's who he really does beats for. But he did a beat for the game on his debut project. And I will say this as well. We got features from 50. We got feature from Eminem later in the album. We got, obviously, Dre all over this. We got a Busta Rhymes feature. We got a Marsha Ambrosius feature. We got a Mary J. Blige feature. A Tony Yayo feature, but not a Lloyd Banks feature. But with all that said, because I don't want to hate on Yayo, I love Yayo verse on here. It's ABC as hell. This whole song is ABC as hell. I mean, this dude says something along the lines of fuck jail, I'm dodging bail. I went on tour to Barcelona and Brazil. Like, hell yeah, nigga, that's what I would do if I got out on bail. Fuck it, I'm gonna live it up because I'm going back anyway. Hell yeah, I love this song. Ain't no reason why I should love this song, because I really love this song. Like, this, for me, this is in my top 5 songs on the album. But I know that it's not. Yeah, I know. I'm not gonna argue with y'all. It's not like, oh man, this is a great song. I just love Yayo's energy on this, man. This is a nigga that knows he should be locked up, knows he shouldn't be doing the things he's doing. He says, fuck it, I'm going on tour to Barcelona and Brazil. I said, fuck jail. Like, I love this song. I love it.
When I heard Yayo on there, I had to go back and see how the hell did that happen. We had Banks, 50 been on here. Who the fuck tapped Yayo and said, hey, we need you on this track? Like, who did that? His energy was great. Don't get it twisted. What I found out was it was supposed to be Banks. Banks was supposed to make that out.
Lazy Lloyd strikes again.
Banks was not available. I honestly think it was some petty bullshit G-Unit stuff going on between him and 50. That group had so many disagreements internally. So it was always some bullshit playing out. With that being said, you got Yayo right out of jail. Hey, Yayo, go get some money. Because that I think the song would have really been great. Exceptionally good, rather. Not great, exceptionally good with Banks on it. But Yayo, I was like, all right, we'll settle.
Yeah.
I don't know why I love Yayo verse, man. I just love it, man. I love it. JG, what's up?
Nah, I mean, you know what? I tell you what. This is when I was listening to the album. The first time I listened to it this week, I was running. I had gone for a run, and I was listening to it in my headphones. And you know what I'm saying? I came back and I got to this track, and I was like, I was able to figure out who had produced everything up until this album, up until this track. And then I was like, who produced this? And then I saw High Tech. And I was like, that's what made me go back and look. Who are the producers on this list? Because I'm like, yo, now that I think about it, he's got the all-star team, and High Tech laced him with something that was real mellow. You know, it kind of reminds me of Rider music from 50 Cent's The Massacre. Kind of has that feel to it. And I like, you know, I've never said, yo, you know what? I need to hear this Yayo verse. But I actually rocked with the verse.
Shouts out to Yayo, man. He came through, man. I love his verse, man. You know, I don't know why.
I didn't notice though. I did not notice going until recent, till you just said something. We don't have a Banks or Buck verse on this album. And it's like, come on, like how do we not, once he's G-Unit, how do we not go back and recut something? Right. Or just create a posse
or
cut? Or
make a crew. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly what I was about to say.
On an 18-track album.
Now, I do have one question. I had the G-Unit group album. Had that dropped already?
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe that could be a part as to why we didn't get no Banks and nothing like that. Because to get Joni Yayo, I understand putting Yayo on there. He was fresh out. You want to keep his name out there, but it's like, hey man, that's not what's best for the album though.
Hey, you know, I think I'm gonna Google it after this, man. But I don't even know if there's a game in Lloyd Banks' song ever. If anybody knows, I don't think so. I really don't.
I don't know.
Like I said, I really love that song, man. So here we go again, and this is about to be sound so foul. Track 13, No Fun and Games, produced by Just Blaze. Another great beat by Just Blaze that I just don't think Game fits on. Like I just don't like this song. I don't know why, and it just so happens to be Just Blaze. Just Blaze, if you listen to this pod, I respect the hell out of you. I just don't like this song. Game, I fucks with you heavy. I just don't like y'all together on this album. I just don't. I just don't like it. Like, you know, you guys talked about album cuts before. This is supposed to be one of those album cuts. It just don't work for me. JG, what's up?
You know what? I feel the same about Game on the track, but the lyrics, dude was murdering it. The lyrics that he comes on this track and says, "Gangsta, gangsta, that's already evident. Nigga with an attitude, check my residence." Like, dude was going hard on this. The lyrics I thought was brilliant. You know what I mean? He throws the shout to the DOC in the first verse. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think, like you said, I'm not a big fan of Game and Just Blaze together. Like, it just does not, you know, it's like oil and water. It just does not match the way and it's one of those things where it sounds like it should be good.
Right.
But it just doesn't work. It didn't work for me.
It's not working for me either. D, what's up?
I like it. I like it, man. It was something to where I'm not sure if the Game had any say so as to working with Just Blaze or not, because when I hear Just Blaze, I think of him and Jay-Z. So I don't know if that was just something he did because Jay used the guy, whatever like that. But I did like the Lynn Collins sample with the NWA.
Right.
I liked it, man. It wasn't. Hey, he got a thumbs up for me on that one, man. He just did. Their cuts did what he did. He did better than I thought he would have done it. This is one of them. I liked it. I'm not gonna put the album on and say, "Quick, get to that track." No, but if I got to sit through it, I can bob my head to that. I like it.
Man, I don't know why.
He like nah.
So we on the track 14. Eminem. Now,
yeah.
This what is the name of this song? I forget the name of this song.
We ain't.
Yeah, we ain't. Yeah, we ain't. So track 14, We Ain't with Eminem. Eminem also made the beat. Highly disappointing. Highly disappointing song for me. Disappointing, man. Now, lyrically, Game held his own with one of the greatest rappers of all time, Eminem. But this is Eminem, for me, this is him still learning how to make beats. This is almost like how you said Game was just a rapper and he could just fill up a notebook full of raps. Like, there's no breakdown in this beat. It's just the beat the whole way through. I don't like the beat. The beat is the lyrics, of course, are there, but you got to give me a good beat. And I just don't like the beat, and it's hard for me to fuck with the song if the beat is not at least halfway.
We just came off of No More Fun and Games, Running. So you get to We Ain't, and now you just like, no.
Running is shit.
On the chart. Stop.
Running is great. Man. I can't fuck with We Ain't, man. I know, man. I know. I just don't.
Granted, at this point in time in M's career, M is the one who Kanye West was saying like he was sneaking in trying to see how M did his drums on the machine. Because he was like, at that point in time, Kanye considered M one of the better producers in the game. In the rap game. He like, yo, I used to try to sneak in and I wanted to find out how he got that sound. He's like, I tried to steal his drum samples. I ain't gonna lie. He's like, I thought M was that dude.
So you like this
Now
song?
going into this song, lyrically, I thought M's verse was probably the one that I remember off this album. Granted, Game didn't embarrass himself. This is one of them songs where he chose to be a chameleon. He just kind of mirrored what M did. I thought M carried it. I liked his verse that much. Production wise, though, I didn't think it was bad, Kevin. I didn't think it was bad, Kevin. Come on, bro. Come on, man. I like it. I'm gonna leave it.
One of M's better efforts, I would say. JG.
Rapping about how they gonna do what they want to do. They not gonna compromise. I'm with it.
Yeah, of course. Like, look, we know that M, like, anytime M jumps on especially a beat of his own, he's gonna murder it. And we've established that Game as a chameleon, that he can basically, hey, you want to rap like that? I can rap like that, and I can hold my own. And we know we're gonna get that. It's just the beat was just not there for me. JG, what's up?
There wasn't enough variety to the beat. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I just, honestly, like, for me, I can take it or leave it. Like, I could take this track or leave it. Like, honestly, I didn't, like, for me, it didn't. When you think like it's, and I think this is part of history playing tricks on me, because now when somebody says, "Oh, I got an Eminem feature," it's a huge deal, and it really wasn't that big of a deal back then, because Eminem at that point was still putting out music regularly, and so it wasn't like there was no scarcity to it, and so it's just, I mean, honestly, like. It was a track. It was like, okay, it's on the album. I didn't, like, I personally believe this album was probably about 4 tracks too long, and this is one of the ones I would delete.
I agree with you 100%. I agree.
Now the Game did go on to say, though, for that particular track, M had rewrote his verse a few times, and he said it even caught him off guard when M finally went in to lay his down. He came on and asked him, "What do you think about that?" And he was like, "The fuck you think? I mean, what I think? I mean, you Eminem. Like, why do you give a shit what I think?" Like, but he thought that was just something of M recognizing him as a rapper and respectable writer. So he was like, it meant something to him that M even asked him what he thought of his verse. I thought M's verse was better. Just leave it at that.
See, for me on this song, this is one of the most disappointing songs on the album for me, because it does have Eminem, and it also, there's an Eminem and Kendrick song that I despise. When you get guys of this caliber, like Kendrick and Eminem on a song, you expect fireworks. And I can't even remember the name of the song, but I don't like it because it's not fireworks. And I don't like this song because it's not fireworks, because it's Eminem in the Game. And everything I done got from the Game, from 13 tracks, tells me like, oh shit, when I get to this song with Eminem, this shit about to be fucking insane. And it's not.
So would you say at this point in time he's starting to succumb to the pressure of living up to, the other artists on the Aftermath label?
No, I wouldn't say that. I would just say this speaks to the lack there of quality production from M. Like, this is a boring song. This is a boring song. And like, I can't even remember the name of the song that Kendrick and M have together, but it was like a concept song that I could care less for. Like, I don't want y'all on no concept song, like, talking about an actual subject matter. I want y'all just rhyming your ass off and making me say, rewind, because that shit was crazy. And that's what I wanted from this song, and I didn't get that. And that's an unfair box to put Eminem in, because, I mean, he's been doing it for 2 decades, making me hit rewind, and expecting him every time he's a feature to make me hit rewind, and it just didn't do it for me. And probably it's just because of the beat. I just don't like the beat. I think this is one of the worst beats Eminem has ever made, and I love him.
Damn, worst beat ever, Kevin?
This beat is trash, man. This beat is trash.
JT, it's on you, man. It's on you, JT.
Nah, JG not even an Eminem guy, and I'm wrecking Eminem more than he's ever wrecked Eminem.
My thing is that, I'm one of those. You're right. I'm not an Eminem guy. I respect the fact that I respect his lyrical ability. Like, as a writer myself, dude is bananas with the pen. It just never touches my heart until he tries to touch my heart. Like, with Eminem, my favorite Eminem album is the Eminem Show. On this particular track, it just, I think to Kevin's point, there's certain times when two rappers get together, I expect certain things. If I got Jay-Z and Rick Ross on the track, I'm expecting to not like, to love that track.
Right.
I need to love that track. If I got Kendrick on the track with Snoop, I need to love that track. I just don't love it. Like it's kind of just there. It exists.
Yeah.
It was like,
You
okay,
said it way better than I did.
yeah, that's basically what it is. Is that it's not that I hate it. I don't hate it. I won't say it's the worst beat Eminem's ever made. I'll simply say that it didn't give me what I wanted. It's like, it's kind of like when Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior created their tag team, they was about to run roughshod over everything. That's not what I got from this track.
Okay, so basically, it didn't live up to y'all. It didn't live up to you guys' expectations. I get it.
Yeah.
So we on to track, was it 15? Where I'm from with Nate Dogg. We finally get a Nate Dogg appearance.
Rest in peace, Nate Dogg, man.
R.I.P. Nate Dogg. And now we get to my favorite song on the album. I love this song. Man. I mean, it's just talking shit about where he's from. And I mean, like you said, when you get a game song and damn show with a Nate Dogg hook, you're not getting no explanation or shit. You getting exactly to the point. I love this song. The beat is crazy. It's produced by Focus. I didn't even know who Focus was before I Googled it, because I thought, just listening to it, I thought it was a Primo beat. So I had to do the Googles, and I found out it was this guy named Focus who's made some other pretty quality tracks out there that I didn't know he made. I fucks with this song heavy. I lay niggas down. What'd he say? I lay niggas out like creases and khakis. Like, yo, D, you remember the days of wearing khakis in school?
Yeah.
Heavy starch.
Yeah.
Them was the days, man. I fucks with this song big time. D, where was you at with it?
I liked it. It was a great tribute song to Compton.
Yeah.
Once again, telling it through his eyes. It's through the eyes of the game. It wasn't something that made me want to skip it. Once again, the game is doing what he do. He's not dropping the ball. I was feeling it. I expected. Put it like this. I got what I expected out of that track with him and Nate Dogg. I did get what I expected.
JG, what's up?
Nah, I'm kind of the same space. Like whenever you because at that point when you looking at, because we buying CDs back then.
Yes.
You look at the track listing, you're like, okay, I know I'm gonna like the Nate Dogg track on this joint, because at that point in time, if Nate Dogg was on the track, you knew it was gonna be one of the best tracks on the album. This joint does not disappoint at all. It's not one of those songs that will be remembered as one of the best songs on the album, but it's another one of those solid album cuts that make good album, that take a good album into being great. Because if this is the lowest standard that you're on, this is a really good album. And I don't think this is the lowest standard. I think this is a very good song and probably in the top echelon of this particular album. And, again, like Nate Dogg on the hook was just, that's what we grew up on. Yeah, that's what we grew up on. It's like, from the Chronic on, Nate Dogg on the hook was like, oh, okay, you got something big here.
Facts. So we on to track 16, Special, another hook by Nate Dogg. Every rapper needs a song like this. They need to get their LL on. Every rapper needs to get their LL on, their Fab on. This is the game's version of a LL Fab record. I'll never probably listen to it again, even though it has the great Nate Dogg on the hook. It's all right. It got played. If it's just running, I'll listen to it. It's not like skip worthy, but it's just it's on the album.
That's where I'm at. When I first heard this track, first thing I said was, okay, this is the track. This is that standout track that I'm about to skip this. This is the one that this album can do without this. I know LL made every rapper think you gotta have that love song on there. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You didn't need this song. So that's where I was at with it. I felt like this is that cut that we didn't need. And then we went on later in the album, and I was proven wrong.
JG, go ahead. Because I think we all agree about the that's that cut.
Yeah, I mean, like, it made me. I'm like, I thought about at that time. Remember on the G Unit album, there was a song that I really liked called "Smile," and
Yeah.
it was 50 singing the hook, and it was like, yeah, you didn't quite capture that magic like that. It wasn't, it was one of those songs where it was like, nah, bruh, like we was good, where we were, like, we was good where we were, like, and it's like, but I think at the same time, like, to be able to do the LL Cool J thing, and my first favorite rapper was Heavy D, and I don't think there was a rapper that rapped about love better than Heavy D. Um, and with that being said, it's like, I think that there has to be a point where you show that I'm not just some gangster killer, like I'm not just a super blood running through LA in a Lamborghini with Dr. Dre shooting at Crips. It's like, you got to show that you a little more than that. But I don't necessarily think this was the track that, I'm saying, he did that on. Like, this was one of those ones where it's like, you just put this on the album just because you had already made it.
Yeah, this is just yeah. We can just keep it pushing. Track 17, "Don't Worry" with Mary J. Blige, a Dr. Dre beat. Uh, Plain and simple, one sentence, a waste of a Mary J. Blige feature. This song is horrendous. I hate this song. And to be perfectly honest, when I do these rewinds, normally I force myself, even if I don't like the song, to listen to the song. I did that the first time. The other times I did not. I skipped this song. I gotta admit, I hate this song. So yeah, that's it. D, what's up?
So when I said that the track before was the skip song, and I said I found out I was wrong later in the album, this is the skip. This was the skip. This is the one where I was like, nope, nope, nope. I had to pick between this one and the other one, and this is the song that has to go. Like you said, Kevin, when you call on the great Mary J. Blige and have her on your album, I'm wondering, like, who decided that this was a good look? Like, we needed this. I mean, I understand.
Dre did. He's the EP.
At one point, I'm thinking at some point in time, he's like a manager looking at resumes going, good, 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 good. Need that. Highly decorated. But no, you didn't need that one, man. You didn't need that. Didn't fit. You didn't need that ingredient, man. That you was cool without that one.
Nah, I think what wound up happening is that they had already paid Mary, so they're like, we may as well use this track.
I guess.
She didn't fucking cash the check already. It's
like, I mean,
I don't even know what this song is about. Like that, because I've only listened to it once, like this week. Like this was on Monday. I haven't heard this song since Monday last week, so I don't even know what this song is about. Because I was just like, this shit is whack. I can't do it. So no need to spend too much more time on that song. So we closing the album out with like Father Like Son with Busta Rhymes on the hook. It's all about the birth of his first son, Harlem. It's all about becoming a father. It's all about those things that he saw growing up in his life and how to make those things better for his son. Talking about being shot over 5 pounds of weed or 2 pounds of weed, changes his life around, becoming a rapper, seeing the birth of his son. D, you the father on this podcast. How did you feel about this song?
This song, it kind of hit for me. Not because I've been through that. I ain't been shot at. Don't smoke weed. So not in that sense, but knowing the significance of having a child being born and coming into this world and what you want for that child and how you want to do better just so they can have better. And from that sense, I understood that this was a track that you probably could have put this track probably like 3 tracks before. It's the last 2, you could have moved them right out of the way and you could have ended it with this track. It's in the right place. It should have came before the last 2. I'm feeling it. And it kind of hit me as far as like, usually you don't start getting songs from a rapper like this until the 2nd or 3rd album. We're still on his debut, and I'm like, wow. Like, this dude has been through a lot, man. In the span of what he went through to putting out this album, like, this dude done lived a lifetime, man.
Yeah. JG, what's up?
Yeah, I think, this was the perfect track to end the album on. I think it did show some versatility and depth from Game that, maybe some of the earlier tracks, the last 2 tracks tried to show. But I think this one actually did hit. And it's, like I said, I truly believe that your best artists, your ones with extreme longevity, are also the ones that are able to give you introspection that makes you look at your own life. And listening to this track, you have to look at your own life and be like, well, damn, well, what have I been through? And if I was to write this track, what would I talk about? And then to frame it around, becoming a father. I thought it was a dope track. I mean, I would have, liked to have seen a Buster verse, considering that he was there. But without that, I still thought that it was a dope track and a real good way to end the album.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. So something I wanted to ask y'all about the game. He's one of those guys that basically was our exact same age when he became a superstar.
Right.
He was about 25, 26 when this album came out, which was different because, for us, we always saw the big superstar rap guys as older guys.
Yeah.
When we were 13, 14, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, and those guys were already 19, 20 plus years old. So how did that affect y'all looking at the game then? Like, all right, he's our peer. So how did that affect y'all looking at game as a rapper?
Just for me, and it kind of sticks with that last track we just talked about. Him being around our age group is just the stuff that he was going through. Like we're there to a point. I was, as far as with the kids and being a dad and all that stuff. We're there. His subject matter went over pretty well with me because again, we're mentally a lot of things he talked about. We're there. Now, take away all the Cali gangbang and all that other stuff because that never happened. But aside from that, that's just where it was. The lifestyle that he led, the drinking. I mean, guys, whereas we were clubbing and stuff like that, guys were clubbing and getting a party on, and he was doing that stuff too. So yeah. I think that came across in his music. One thing about the Game's music, you didn't feel like he was lying.
Yeah.
You didn't feel like he was lying about nothing that he said. Where some rappers, like a Future, you be like, man, shut up. You lying about everything you talking about, except the chick you with. It's all a lie. So that was one thing that stood out with me. He's an authentic dude. That's what I got out of him.
JG.
I think so. I lived in Colorado for a year. And I'm gonna bring it back around because y'all looking at me like, what that got to do with anything? Colorado at that time, like I lived not far from the skating rink that DJ Quick talked about in Just Like Compton. Like it was real blood and Crip heavy back then. And I was like moving from, being a kid from Ohio, you going to Colorado and nothing of Bloods and Crips. Absolutely nothing of Bloods and Crips. And then you're plopped right down into the middle of this stuff. And you have to learn quickly because your life depends on it, literally.
Right.
Because, in Ohio, you saying cuz was just regular slang. What up, cuz?
Right. Yeah.
Nah, you don't do that around here. Because if you do that around here, the eighth grade Bloods is going to have a problem with you. And so for me, listening to this album, it took me back to that time. It took me back to the gang education I had to learn, listening to him, name drop some of the sets, the Crenshaw Mafia Gangsters, the Grape Street Crips, things like that. It took me back to that time because that is a part of my upbringing. Like, what I'm saying? And I was only in Colorado for like 10 months, but that 10 months have changed my life because I learned how real gang culture was in that part of the world. And it was just like I want to say I was living in Colorado when that whole thing happened with DJ Quick with the Just Like Compton throwing a beer bottle at the guy in the crowd. Like I was living in Colorado at that time. And so it was just so listening to Gang, like his age never really even dawned on me. It was just like I think like you said, D, I felt like, okay, I'm listening to 2005 West Coast gangster hip hop. The West Coast gangster hip hop that I haven't really heard since 2001 now has somebody that can bring it forward. And I thought that was, for me, it was like, yo, I'm interested to see what this dude is going to what's going to happen with him because I was like, I'm a fan. and I'm gonna see what happens with this guy going forward. And it was like then all the like the album drops, and then all of the drama starts. He's off G Unit. He's off.
Right.
He's not even. He's off G Unit. He's not even on Aftermath anymore. And then it was like, I was scared. Like I'm like, this dude could be a one-hit wonder. And then One Blood drops, and it's like, nope, we're good. We're good. He's gonna be okay.
Now, I did have a question. Now, that One Blood, I heard they had started on that so early, like that track that he got from Dre on that they said that was, from what I understand, what I hear, I've read about, that was done so early to it was like, yeah, game, you can keep that because we had already done that. Mm-hmm. I was equating that with like the separation of Kobe and Shaq. I'm like, damn, like you look at how big G Unit was at that point in time before they broke apart, like. Man, they was fucking huge, man. Like I said, corporate success-wise,
yes.
G Unit had a lot going, and it drives home the point of them not wanting him to fail. All the features, the production team that was brought in, and you got Busta Rhymes just doing a hook for you.
Yeah.
Like, just doing a hook, not rapping, just doing a hook. Busta don't do that kind of stuff. If Busta on the track, he's going to rap. Even if it's just at the end, he's going to rap. He just does a hook for this guy. So that was crazy. And you bring a guy in 50, like, yo, he hot right now. He gonna show you what it takes to get there and stay there as far as your song construction and constructing hits. So here, I'm bringing him in. There was just so much put into this because of not just of what he represented, but just because of where they were gonna place him. You're gonna be the West Coast component of G Unit. So you gotta pop. You repping us, you gotta pop. And I felt like all that effort was put in there. You stacked those bricks so nice and neatly, and then the whole thing just fall down because y'all tripping. And it turns out it was because of an individual named was it Lodi Mack?
Yeah,
who got killed. He got killed or something like that during a dispute or something like that. And that's why 50 was saying like, "No, we're not ever gonna be cool." Dude lost his life behind that. I just can't scrap that and let that go. Like that's what he said to Banks and. Banks when he took a shot a photo with him.
Yeah.
He asked, how would he feel about that? Because now you back cool with him. Radio stations in New York, Hot 97, they asked you where the gang stand with us. You said across the street. That was his reply. He said across the street. So now we go from that to y'all kumbaya after this dude done lost his life. Nah, dude, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. So that was something that you felt like right there and there, that riff could never be repaired.
See, I just feel like, 15 years later, man, 15 years later, 15 years of growth and maturity and manhood, because I know there's been reports that 50 and Game was in the same club and nothing went wrong. That those types of things. I think after a while, it comes to a point where it's like, I think, and that's like every time I've ever heard Game talk about G Unit, like, and I don't know if y'all have ever seen the interview that he did with Talib Kweli on the Complex. That's a dope interview. But everything he does, he's like, he looks back on it and it's like, yo, look at what we accomplished. Yes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Forget that. Look what we did in that short period of time. And it's like, 50 has gone on to do a bunch of stuff. And shout out to 50 because I'm about to go watch Power here in a minute. But, I just. I feel like, what I'm saying? I mean, in the Lodi Mack thing, I don't know what his relationship with Lodi Mack was or what it was that, what he did. But it just seems like, 50 he holds on to grudges. Yeah. Like he's holding on to this stuff. It's like, the whole thing with him and Young Buck. It's like, come on, man. Man, like really? Like the whole thing with Young Buck. It's like, after a while, it's like, come on, man. Like that dude, like you literally ruined dude's life. Like, dude, you literally ruined dude's life. Like, and from what I understand, it's $300,000. Like, that's literally what Buck owes 50, $300,000 to recoup for his album and be free. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, so I just, I really think that this, I really wish those dudes could get over that. And not so much in a get over that and give us another album or get over that, but a reunion show might be nice. Just one show. You know what I mean? At one show.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen because there's a lot of egos involved, and there's no bigger ego in hip hop right now than 50 Cent. And I mean, I don't even know if you can consider 50 Cent being in hip hop. I mean, I know he EP'd Pop Smoke's album, R.I.P. to Pop Smoke, but I mean, the mogul that 50 Cent is now, I think he revels in the fact that he don't need nobody. He's making money hand over fist, doing something outside of music. And then in Game's point of view is I'm still making music. More I have more albums than 50 Cent. I have better albums than 50 Cent because I mean, you can say 50 has one classic album. I mean, it's debatable if Game has maybe two or three. So in Game's point of view is like I'm a better rapper than you because I got more plaques than you. When my albums drop, people go listen to it. When a 50 Cent album drop, you like, I'll get to it eventually. But if a 50 Cent show comes on, all right, I'll turn it on, I'll watch it. So it's like they're in two different worlds now, and the pettiness of 50 is just like to 10th power, and the only way Game can match his pettiness is to be aggressive when things go awry. I think Game has matured a lot to say like he's willing to do a reunion show, but I don't think 50 Cent will ever mature to the fact to say like, all right, yeah, let's get Game on the show, let's get Yayo on the show, let's get Banks on the show, let's get Buck on the show. I believe the only person that he's like still like actually cool with is Yayo because they grew up together.
Yeah,
they're real friends. You know what I'm saying? So that's like a big thing.
Here's something way out of left field. I think they will do one together. I think we will see them dudes together. I think it may be a minute. They're gonna be on the stage together. I think they're gonna be back on the stage together. You don't have the kind of content that they had together and just walk away from that. You don't. You don't. These dudes, you could, whoever your hottest artist is today, and you could say they just went diamond. I don't care how many people are listening to them. If the G Unit get back together and Game's in it, everybody's waiting on that album. Everybody's waiting. And when it drops, it's going to do good numbers. Now, if it's garbage or not, people will decide, but they're going to copy it. They're going to copy it.
Yeah,
it's going to generate immediate interest.
Yeah, see, I honestly, like, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I'm leaning more towards it won't happen. Just because I think, what's very interesting is that Kevin, listening to your breakdown, I think 50 is more important to hip hop culture right now.
Yeah.
But Game is more important to hip hop music. And I think that's the best way to look at it. Like, 50 is bringing us to the big screen and it's being consumed by the masses. Whereas Game is still making near classic level music, if not classic level music, 15 years later, which, I don't think Game gets enough respect for what he's done in building his career over the last 15 years. Like, I think honestly, when we think West, we still think Snoop, we think Kendrick, we think, you think Kendrick, you think Dom, you don't think Game like you should. I think Game is one of those dudes, you got to really talk about him.
That's fair. So D, last question, man. Where you at with this album? Because me and JG agree 100%. This is a bona fide classic. It stands the test of time. Where you at with it? Give us your final synopsis about this album because you was kind of skeptical going into it.
My final synopsis about this album is but a lot of people felt like because it's their first album, it's a classic. I hear that from a lot of rappers. Oh, my first album, just because it was your first album. 50's first album with Dre was that Diamond.
Yeah.
I mean, while Game may have stood the test of time and showed that he could stand on his own, I felt as though at the end of this album, at the end of the day, he was merely a product of the production and team that was put around him, around the whole, from the producers brought in to 50 helping him construct the hits and all that stuff. I felt like he was a product of what was put around him. And so he couldn't drop the ball.
So I'll ask you this. So from his work after this album.
It is a classic. To answer that question.
Okay, so his work after this, that doesn't show that like he's like a big reason why this was a classic album.
The work after this, after everything that came after this,
he just wasn't like a cog in the wheel. I just feel like he wasn't a cog in the wheel. Like he was a major component because of his work after this. He showed and proved like, yo, I'm bigger than just
like,
some great
I
production.
do feel like after this album, he became that. He became that after this album. But on this album as a standalone project, just to make that determination of should he get the credit like that a 50 would have got, that a 50 got on Get Rich or Die Trying? No. He shouldn't. I wouldn't give him that accolade. With that being said, it is a classic album. It is. But with the tutelage that 50 got on Get Rich or Die Trying came directly from Dre. From telling him that, hey, man, you're doing a little bit too much on here. Catch the beat, let it lead you, and do your 1-2. And from there, 50 became something different. And him catching that, Dre just wanted him like, to show this guy. Because he can rap like you could, but he can really rap. I just need you to get this dude some more structure. With that being said, I still give 50 more credit for his first album than I give the Game.
Ooh, goodness.
JG, I'll let you get the last words, Blair.
No, I think I'm kind of the exact opposite of D. I think if I would agree with it, I mean, if Game had fallen off after the documentary, then I would be like, yeah, he's a product of his environment. I believe the environment that he was in. Yeah, definitely. You know, when you look at the producers, you look at the money that they spent to put that out. I think you do have to understand that there was a dope machine behind him. But I think that Game has continued to make quality music sans Dr. Dre and sans 50 Cent. And with that being said, I thought it was a dope introduction to who he is. I thought it was a dope introduction to who he is. I thought it was a very solid debut album. I mean, he did 5 million plus with the album. You know, I felt like it was a dope introduction to who he was. I just didn't necessarily, but I feel like watching him grow from this album to what, especially the documentary 2.5 in 1992, that 3-album run that started 10 years later. Yeah, that was an amazing run. And so I can't give 50 more credit because Game was still the centerpiece of that album. And on the tracks without 50, Game still shined through. Like I thought Game shined through. I mean, honestly, like this is an album that I hadn't listened to in a while till you told me to go back and listen to it. And then when I went back and listened to it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember how much I liked this album when it came out.
That's what's up. Well, fellas, now, keep it going.
Let me clarify my stand on giving 50 Cent more credit for his debut album than I did the Game. Because again, 50 had tracks pulled. I mean, Dre pulled tracks from his upcoming album to make 50's album. With that being said, when I say I give him more credit, I mean on this standalone project. Because Game's album was feature heavy. It seemed like to me, not like a Raekwon, but not like that, not on that level. But to the point to where, and it may have been the name drop. It may have been the name drop, and it made me feel that way. But I just felt like when I look at the production credits, the people that was behind it, there were so many hands in that pot to stir that thing up and make it what it was. Versus 50's. 50 was basically Dre and him. It was basically Dre and him. I would never say that the Game didn't go on to become something that was just a major contributor to hip hop. And somebody is going to go down in history as a guy that, oh yeah, you into rap? Well, you need to listen to this guy too. He's in that conversation. He's a guy that, if you're talking West Coast, here's a guy that you got to listen to. You got to point him out. He has to. He's in that conversation. He's in that room. But when I judge him on this album, I'm judging him from the sense of not considering his other work. Just this album right here.
Yeah.
Versus Get Rich or Die Trying. That album right there. Because the thing about 50 is, man, you had that one hot album. You got that one smoking album and nothing after that. But with that being said, though, but look at the ground that was covered in that one album.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he just came along at the right time because he did the one album, the G Unit run, the solo projects, hot back into the game. 50's pen was hot for a good while.
Yeah.
It was hot. Even that's not even talking about his R&B work because he had some cuts out there R&B wise too. He was doing it. But the game is somebody that you have to talk about. You have to. You can't tell the story of West Coast rap or rap at all without saying, oh, this dude right here, East Coast, West Coast kind of guy, but he's West Coast. And you can put him with some East Coast guys. And you, depending on the track and who around him, you may not know where he's from.
Fair enough.
Very true. Very true.
Fellas, I appreciate y'all jumping on the pod, man. We went deep into the game, the documentary album. If you've never heard this album, it's 15 years old. What the hell are you doing? Do yourself a favor. Go ahead, stream it wherever you do your music at, wherever it's Apple Music, Spotify, wherever. Shit that's probably on YouTube. Matter of fact, do that. Come back and listen to the pod. React with us in the comments on YouTube. We'll be looking for it, man. Once again, JG the Juggernaut. Shout out your IG and everything like that so people can follow you.
At Blame JG. One word, at Blame JG. That's Twitter and Instagram at BLAMEJG.
D,
What's
you
up
ain't
with
on
it?
social media. So
No, I do not. I don't need people hitting me up because they don't like my point of view. Now, I'm not like Kev. If you don't like my point of view, keep it to yourself. You can't do nothing about it because I never hear about it. No, I'm actually not out there like that. But I am on Twitter. Cats can follow me out there. They can follow me on Twitter. FortOmega31 at FortOmega31. You catch me out there. That's about all I do. I'm not heavy into social media at all. But Kev, thanks for having me. JT, good meeting you, bro. I appreciate your point of view and the way you view this album. Like you put some stuff on my plate. You did.
Hey, it's always good to get together with brothers, whether they old brothers or new brothers, man. I love y'all. Can't wait to do this again.
For sure, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Until next time.
Peace.
All right.